Chapter 25. Brooke. The car was in sight. Millie was already buckled in the front seat and ready to go. I had almost made it out alive. I was almost free when Jeff grabbed my good arm. "Can we talk?" he asked. He stared deeply into my eyes, and it was unsettling how it didn't affect me anymore. "Out here, where everyone can see us?" I asked, seeing faces peer at us as they, too, made their way to their cars. We had never talked in the open before. I could see the gears spinning in their minds as they wondered if it was me that Jeff had been sleeping with all summer. He nodded. "I heard about your mom yesterday." "I'm so sorry, Brooke." He tried to hug me, but I stepped back out of his reach. "I broke up with Holly as soon as I heard," he said, as if I would throw myself in his arms upon hearing this. Instead, I stared at him in silence, daring him to continue. "I did it, Brooke," Jeff said, grabbing my hand. "I showed you that I love you. It was more than words. I'm here now." "Now," I repeated. "You're here now. And all it took was for my mom to die." He looked like I slapped him. The tenderness in his face started to melt away. "No, that's not—" "What if Holly's mom died?" I asked. "What if you found out she died right now? Would you go back to her?" I grimaced as I remembered that Holly's mom had died when we were in elementary school. I immediately regretted it and wanted to take it back. He shook his head. "No, Since you didn't choose me, my logical conclusion was that you were choosing her. I wasn't sitting around waiting for you," I explained. "I waited for you all summer. I figured that was enough. Did you think I would be on standby forever? Did you think I would sit around for a few years until you decided you were ready to be with me instead?" I demanded. Jeff sighed through clenched teeth. "I wasn't expecting you to. Can you please let me finish So I'm with someone else now," I interrupted. "Sentence," he said softly. "What do you mean, someone else? We were together not even a week ago." "It'll be 2 weeks on Saturday," I stated, "and you went into that tent with Holly in a matter of hours, so I don't want to hear that argument from you. Were your lips even dry from my kisses before you kissed hers? Weren't you worried that she would be able to smell my perfume on your clothes, or that maybe I had left a ponytail or earring behind for her to find?" He closed his eyes and lowered his head. "I can't believe this. I left her for you, like you wanted me to, and somehow I'm still the villain." "I don't think of you as a villain, Jeff," I told him, "but you don't love me, and you probably didn't love her either. If you did, you would have been able to choose. It would have been easy. Like you are now, choosing this other guy over me." "You love him?" he asked. I nodded. "Who is it?" he demanded, clenching his fist like he would bloody them that very moment if the guy appeared by my side. I couldn't let him go after Peter. If he did, I couldn't guarantee his safety. I didn't want Jeff anymore, but I certainly didn't want him dead either. "Who is it, Brooke?" he asked, his words short and clipped. I still didn't answer, but a look of understanding crossed his face as he stumbled backward. "It's the fish guy?" he asked, astonishment dripping from his voice. "Are you serious right now? That's why he said I didn't have a choice?" I stepped back. "What are you talking about?" "Brooke, you told me yourself that you didn't even know him," Jeff yelled, "and now you're saying you're in love with him?" "I didn't know him the night you left me alone with him," I said, "but I've lived a lifetime since then. I've been through a lot since then, and he has been there for it." "I didn't know I was leaving you with a pervert," he said, putting his hands behind his head and pacing around in front of me like a caged animal. "Peter is not a pervert," I argued. "Why on earth would you even say that?" "Then what was he doing out there with us?" he argued. "No one goes that far in the woods. That's why I went there, so no one would stumble upon us. I stopped myself. "He what? He lives there?" Jeff asked, wide-eyed. "You're leaving me for a homeless pervert?" "Shut up. You have no idea what you're talking about," I said through clenched teeth. I was losing my cool and hoped that Millie couldn't hear me. "What happened that night, huh?" he challenged me. "What exactly did this nomadic smooth talker say to fool you into thinking you're in love with him?" My anger peaked. "Jeff, you're right. I take it back. You are a villain. You are the one that fooled me. You took me in the woods to be romantic, when all you really wanted was to hide one last time before she came back. And when she came back early, you left me in the dust. I was injured, Jeff. My arm was cut open and bleeding, and you still walked out that door. You left me with no way to get home and with no place to stay for the night. You want to know what happened that night? Peter sewed my arm up. I unwrapped my arm to expose the fishing line stitches I'd been trying to hide at school. His eyes widened and he stopped pacing. Yeah, that's right. He cleaned and stitched my wound with his own hands. He wrapped it and cared for me. He walked me to the tent so I could stay there until morning when I could see to walk back into town, but it was already occupied. So he let me stay with him. He didn't try anything with me. He simply took care of me. He fed me and showed me the way back home. So he showed basic kindness and won your heart. He said it with sarcasm, not realizing how bad it made him look. Yes, Jeff, that's all it took because it was so freaking foreign, I snapped. His angry eyes turned kind of sad. I wanted to bring you to the hospital, Brooke. I would have carried you there myself. I wanted to help you and you wouldn't let me. I couldn't go to the hospital, I mumbled, unsure if I could trust him with the truth. Why not? He asked. Exasperation dripped from every syllable. Why would you be afraid of a doctor stitching your arm but not a homeless man? I scoffed. I wasn't afraid of going to see a doctor. That wasn't the problem. I was much more scared of getting sewed up without numbing my arm first. Then what was the problem? Why would you willingly go through that kind of pain instead of listening to me? He looked like he was about to pull his own hair out. I had to tell him the truth, or he would never understand. Jeff, my life has been a hurricane. You didn't know it, but my mom was an addict. After Gran died, she left me and Millie alone with no way to pay for food or rent. We were starving. That's how I met Peter. I stole a fish from him at the market. What? You were starving? He asked, his voice soft and concerned. Yes. I had a little money left, but Mom's boyfriend stole it, leaving us with nothing at all besides the 42 cents I found in the couch cushions. The day I left the apartment with you, I came back to find the locks changed and that we were evicted. I tried to spend the night in a shelter, but Mom was there, and we got into a huge argument. I started crying, but still talked through my tears. That was the last conversation I had with her. Then I went to find Peter because I had nowhere else to go. I couldn't go to you because you were with Holly. I couldn't go to Raven because you know how crazy and overprotective her dad is. I also couldn't tag along with Millie at her friend's house without letting the cat out of the bag. So even though it was dark out, I tried to find my way to Peter, because he had helped me before. But before I found him, I was attacked by 2 men in the woods. His hand covered his mouth in surprise. It was you? I nodded. I don't want anyone to know. Please don't tell anyone. After they were attacked by the wolf, Peter found me. He took care of me again. He found a house for Millie and I to stay in with someone who will help take care of us. We have food and shelter because of him. Jeff shook his head. I didn't know, Brooke. How was I supposed to know that you were going through any of this if you didn't tell me? How was I supposed to help you if I didn't know you were in trouble? How was I supposed to trust you enough to tell you when you hadn't shown me your level of devotion to me? I argued. The only people who know are Peter and Raven, people who have cared for and loved me with their actions, not their words. Besides, you were used to being with Holly. She will never have to worry about having money for food. Her life is predestined to be easy. You wouldn't have known what to do with someone like me. Why are you telling me now? He whispered. What's the point if you're choosing him? I shrugged. Maybe it's because I want to protect Peter. I want you to know how good he is and how much evidence I have that he cares for me. I want you to know that I'm not making this decision lightly. I want you to know that he's good for me, and I'm not choosing him out of spite. Is he an addict too? Jeff asked. Is that why he's homeless? I shook my head fast and hard. No, not at all. That's where he wants to be. And he has his fish business. He makes enough money to take good care of himself, and it's even been picking up lately. He's got a lot of cash saved up. He chooses to be in the woods. That's where he feels at home, and so he got permission to live on someone's land in a small camper. He sighed. Wow, this really sucks. This is how you felt, huh? This is what it was like for you when I left that house to go see Holly. Except I was in excruciating pain, too. I could cut your arm to make it even, I joked. He tried to chuckle at my joke. No, thanks. I'm in enough pain as it is. I'm sorry, Jeff. I wanted to be with you. If you would have chosen me that night, I would be yours right now. I swear it, I said. It was the truth. I would have missed out on so much with Peter, but I wouldn't have ever known it. I know, he said. That's why it hurts so much.